On the YouTube. Okay.
Okay, give me just another minute, everyone. How's it going, Gio?
Big Joe in the house.
It's good to see you guys. Okay. Give me 1 second. Let me adjust this lighting, close these curtains.
Let me text him.
Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. I'm gonna just close these curtains so that it's not blinding you all. What was he talking about trying to get on?
Hopefully got him fixed.
Tell him just go right to YouTube.
I did.
Okay. Have you set Elizabeth, moderator?
I'm working on it.
Okay. Okay. Okay, that seems to be much better. Welcome, everybody. We're glad to have you all with us. We were running around and just had to get situated. So right now there may be a few, well, not a few more individuals that's going to be joining in with us. Hello. Hope that everybody's had a beautiful day so far. And we should be starting in another minute or two. We want to make sure that we're not going to have any complications.
Do you need it?
I don't think so. Just make sure the ringer's off. And let me check to see if she wants to. Good.
I think I put her on last time.
All right. Okay, so once again, welcome everybody. It's a blessing to see everybody here today. I want to thank you for taking your time to come, and your presence shows that you care not only about the organization, but also, of course, the future of the organization. That said, today's meeting, as well as the one, well, first of all, can everybody hear us okay?
Yes.
Yes, okay. And we're going to ask if everybody can mute your lines until you have something that you would like to ask or something that you'd like to say. If you all want to also familiarize yourself with the various options, if you go to the bottom of your screen on Zoom, you see there different options. Your mute, stop your video, the chat box, reactions, if you want to share. We're not going to hold any sharing of the screens at the moment. And let me make sure. That we're up and running. Yes. Okay. Did you see her? And on YouTube Live, you also may want to familiarize yourself with the controls. And there should be some options on the left side of your screen, as well as on your right. If you see at the top of your screen, top fans, there should be 3 dots on the right there. If you click on those 3 dots, it'll give you a pop-up menu, and you'll see reactions in the pop-up menu. And actually, and then if you turn that on, if you go down to the bottom of the box in the chat area, you'll see where it says chat, this emoji, smiley face. You want to click there if you want to add different emojis. The heart, if you scroll over that, it will give you various reactions that you can send up as well. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Oh, you should be on. Okay. Okay, so once again, we want to welcome everybody to our first meeting of this kind within the organization. This is a first of its kind. Somebody said a historical event. But we want to make sure that throughout the meeting, we show nothing but respect. We want to make sure that we recall and that we remember our purpose here is to deal with business pertaining to the organization that we're all a part of. Some of you may currently still be in attendance. And some of you may also have paused your attendance as well as your participation at the moment. But either way, what we're asking is for every individual member to hold out on your membership being removed. You don't want to do that. I declare, if you remove your membership, you're going to look back and want to revisit the day that you did that so that you can undo that. So again, welcome to everyone that's here. Before we actually get started, before we actually get started, I'm just going to take a moment for us to actually begin with prayer. All of our meetings, we want to do everything. And did you see this one? Did you see the last? We want to do everything in accordance not only with what we normally do within the organization in every single meeting, but also in accordance with the law. I will be sharing with you all what's going to be taking place following all of this. But for now, we want to go ahead and take a moment for prayer. God of Abraham, God of Isaac, and God of Jacob, Lord God who sits on high and looks down low. Lord, we're grateful and we're thankful for this day that you've allowed us to wake up to see that was not promised to us. We thank you for going before us throughout this day's journey and bringing us to the beginning of the close of another. We thank you for the opportunity that we might come together with our brothers and sisters within the household of faith, those who are members of the organization of which we are speaking of. And Lord, we thank you for all of your goodness, your kindness, and your mercies. We thank you because you've been better to all of us than any of us could possibly be to ourselves. We thank you, Father, for bringing us together that we might deal with business and inform everyone of the things that are taking place and going on within the organization. Lord, we want to thank you for your darling Son, Jesus, who gave his life, that we all might have the opportunity to receive eternal life. We thank you for him doing what he did so that we might be here doing what we're doing. We're grateful for the opportunity to be a vessel that you can use to help turn others towards you. We ask that you will keep each and every one of us clothed in our right mind. Allow us, Lord, to be able to deliberate, to conversate, to communicate in this meeting without any holds barred. Lord, to be honest, truthful, direct, and forthright, without any offenses, without any insults, without allowing ourselves to be moved by our emotions. We know, oh Lord, that there's something going on, and we know that there's a thing that's taking place that some do not understand. But we ask that you will allow us to have an open mind as we come together to cover this information tonight. Lord, for those who are on their way home from work or school, trying to make it to this meeting or for whatever other reason, as they make their way, we ask that you will watch over them, keep them safe, and allow those who have the mind to be here to make it, oh Lord, without any other interferences. We ask that you will allow this meeting to go smoothly without any technical difficulties and keep the wicked one and all of his helpers at bay. For these and all other blessings and prayers, we humbly ask in your name, through the name of your darling Son, Jesus, we pray. Not our will, but your will be done. Amen. So we're going to go ahead and get started, and I'm going to go over something, and hopefully you all will take a few notes, and we're going to get there in a moment. But today's meeting and the ones coming up, they're all very important. We're not just here to sit and listen, but we're here to learn. We're here to understand. We're here to prepare for what's ahead. A lot has happened over the past few years. Some of it has been difficult. Some has been hard to talk about. But now is the time to face it all with honesty, with faith, as well as with unity. There has been many misunderstandings. It's important to say this clearly and with full clarification. Right now, there are a lot of misunderstandings and confusion throughout the organization. People have questions. People have heard different things, and in many cases, the full truth simply has not been shared up until now. That is a part of the purpose of this meeting tonight. We need to get on the same page. We don't need to be divided. It's time to bring everything into the open, not to cause fear, not to cause division, but in order to bring clarity, understanding, as well as healing. I want to make sure that I don't lose anyone. Everybody, we know that there's been complications. There are things that we're not hearing. There's things that have not been shared and with the wider membership in the past. Well, hopefully that ends today. Everyone deserves to know the truth about not only what has taken place, but whether it happened behind closed doors, in leadership decisions, or over the course of these last few years. And more importantly, you all deserve to understand what it all means as we move forward. We cannot stand together if we're walking in different directions. That's why shared knowledge is key. And this is also why it's so important that each and every one of you are here tonight and that you stay engaged throughout every one of the upcoming meetings. So please, I will petition to come to every meeting. Each meeting will build on the last. If you miss one of the meetings, you will miss some things that are extremely important for you to understand. We're going to move forward step by step, but the hope is that we all move forward together. We're going to ask that you keep in mind that you probably want to bring a notepad and a pen. There will be a lot to take in, details, facts, timelines, and explanations. You don't want to try to keep it in your head. Write it down so you can think about it later and keep track of what's being shared. The Bible says, get wisdom, but with all you're getting, get understanding. This is in Proverbs 4th chapter in the 7th verse. That's exactly and precisely what this meeting is all about. Getting understanding. Understanding what it has been that's happened, where we are right now, and where God is calling us to go from here. We want to make sure that we actually stand within his will and not to ignore what he may want while standing in our own. This is a critical moment for the organization. We're not who we were 5 years ago, and who we become next will depend on whatever it is that we do with the truth starting today. Some of what we share might be difficult to hear, but the truth does bring light. And when we walk in the light, well, we walk in freedom. So again, thank you guys for being here. We ask that you keep showing up. We ask again that you bring a notepad, that you bring your open minds and your hearts ready to listen, ready to learn, and more importantly, for quite a few of us, ready to heal. We're not here. It's important that we share this. We're not here to blame, but we're here so that we can build. And we want to do that by building together. So with that said, let's go ahead and begin. Are there any questions before we start?
Someone already asked a question about how do you undo a membership at the UHOP?
There's a question about how do you remove a membership at the United House of Prayer for All People? At the House of Prayer, like any other nonprofit, and for that matter, most other organizations, even if they are for-profit, it is as simple as committing it in writing. Write a letter to the headquarters and whatever local group or district, chapter, or state that you've been most active in. when you write them, make sure you let them know pertinent information, your name, your age, how long you've been a member, and perhaps it would be wise to include why you no longer wish to continue your membership. But you want to commit it in writing and send that letter to headquarters, as well as copies to whoever your supervisors were. If outside this organization, your pastor or state chairman. One to the headquarters is sufficient. But if you want to make sure that everybody knows, you want to write copies, duplicate them, and send to your pastors and chairmen as well. The easiest way is to simply submit it to, if you're on a club, to your president, and then the president will take care of everything from there. But we should also remember the organization has not been abiding by rules, policies, procedures, or regulations now for several decades. And that is primarily the reason that we're here. So that said, thank you for that question. Anybody else before we proceed? Okay. So let's start with the truth. A lot of individuals throughout the organization, and by a lot, I simply mean a handful of individuals scattered around the organization. Not a majority, not a huge number, but there are several individuals throughout the organization that are of the opinion that nothing that you all do here is going to matter. There are some that are of the opinion that nothing that's done is going to matter. Well, let me actually correct that right now. When it comes to truth, truth always matters in a court of law, because truth is the foundation of justice. Here's why truth will always matter. Justice in itself in every court depends on the truth. Courts exist to resolve disputes and determine right from wrong. Without truth, innocent people can be punished and the guilty can go free. Truth is what allows judges and juries to make fair and just decisions. Truth protects the innocent. When the truth is revealed, those that are innocent are protected from false accusations. Lies in court can ruin lives, but truth brings clarity, evidence, and fairness to the outcome. The lies can cover up wrongdoing, but truth exposes it. When the truth is brought to light, those who commit crimes can be held responsible for their actions. Individuals, again, scattered around the organization, think that no matter what is brought forward, nothing's going to happen. The problem with that logic is that we have the truth. And by presenting the truth will take care of the rest. People must believe the legal system is fair and honest. And as a result of the truth being utilized in the legal system, people will get a fair and honest outcome. If courts don't care about the truth, public trust breaks down. But when truth is honored, people are more likely to respect and follow the law. And this is what we're looking at, incidentally, here in the organization. We're looking at a situation where even though we supposedly have court sessions, this entire year, we've had several court sessions, and each and every single one of those court sessions has been actively covering up, ignoring, and pushing to the side truth. And how can you have a real, an honest, a fair, or a just court when truth is not paramount? When truth is not the thing that's being looked at in order to decide a case, then you can best believe each and every time the outcome of that case is not only not going to be fair, but innocent people will be penalized and guilty people will get off the hook. Therefore, it is extremely necessary that truth is upheld. For that reason, in the Old Testament, the law was, in fact, is it not one of the 10 commandments? Thou shalt not bear false witness. Many people think that that's just telling what we call a little white lie. Well, first of all, there is no such thing as a little white lie. A little white lie will get any of us cast into the lake of fire, according to Revelations 21:8. So even telling our children to tell the insurance man at the door that we're not home can get us cast into the lake of fire, because all liars will be cast. That said, even though we've been having all these court sessions this year, I have shared with people that there is no justice and there is nothing being done in the courts of the house of prayer, since every one of the leaders of the organization, it has been proven, are right now under violation. So that's why the truth is so important, especially right now within the organization. Truth also upholds human rights. In every fair court, both sides have the right to be heard and to present the truth. This is again why in the scripture, when a commandment, the commandment, thou shalt not bear false witness, it can cost you your life if you do, because your testimony may end up being a testimony that can cost someone their life. Your testimony can cost multiple people lives. So whenever it was discovered that somebody told false witness or a lie, then they would be susceptible to receiving a penalty of being put to death. So this is how important it was, and it was highly exalted. Keep in mind, when the leaders came to condemn Jesus, they needed witnesses because the law says out of the mouth of 2 or 3. So you needed to have at least minimum 2 or 3. Here in this meeting, it is also the idea has been presented that if they can keep people from attending these meetings, that nothing's going to come of it. But the entire organization is in for a huge surprise. So your presence here matters. You being here will affect and impact the entire organization as we go forward. The truth, as it upholds human rights, again in the scripture, it ensures that no one is silenced or treated unfairly. Truth is a moral responsibility. Everyone involved in a court, witnesses, lawyers, judges, takes an oath to tell the truth. Why? Because truth isn't just a legal rule, it's a moral rule. Lying under oath is a crime because truth is sacred in the pursuit of justice. And that said, again, when you're looking at officers of the court, whether it's a lawyer, whether it's a judge, whether it's a clerk, they're all under oath. In fact, all individuals that's in anything concerning the law or government, they are sworn into office, because when they're sworn into office, they now take that position and they say, I will uphold every letter of the law. Why am I talking about this? Because this is necessary for everybody to understand how important the truth is, so that you understand where we're going in this meeting and the next 2 to come. One more thing, the truth turns a courtroom into a place of justice and not just judgment. Many times y'all have heard people making judgment. Whenever people say, well, nothing's going to happen, you're not going to change anything. How many of you have heard well, it's been like this 100 years. It's not going anywhere. Well, it's done. It's gotten 100 years so far because no one has taken the opportunity or the time to take truth and present truth into the hands of individuals that can and will do something about this present situation. People who suggest that this is not going to change because it's been like this over 100 years, well, gotten away with something does not necessarily mean you're going to get away with it. Just because you've gotten away with it so far does not guarantee that nothing is going to happen. Justice many times can be delayed, but not denied. How many times have you all seen that a case is being brought forward to court that's literally 18, 20, 25 years old? But as long as they find evidence, they can still bring that case forward. So the law actually has a very long memory. And many times cases that have already come forward can also be re-examined. So here's the thing that everyone needs to understand about the organization. Every time we've had a case go before a judge, details about that case can actually be recalled. And those things can actually be looked at all over again. So for those individuals who believe, who think that nothing's going to come of all of this, again, they're wrong. And now you have the opportunity and the ability to make sure that the word is spread that we shouldn't give any credence and listen to anybody saying what's going to happen or what's not going to happen. Because once truth is presented, it's then in the hands of the individuals in those positions to judge it. Getting away with it, once again, is temporary. And just because the organization seems to have gotten away, or the leaders of the organization seem to have gotten away with things so far, it does not mean that they're going to continue to get away with it. Now, I won't any longer talk about what they've done. I'm going to show and share what has happened in the organization. That way, we're not looking at people, we're only looking at information. One more thing about what has happened already. Courtrooms are not, I will repeat, courtrooms are not the only place where you can pursue and get justice in cases like this. There are several other venues where individuals can go and get justice in cases like this. So we have been pursuing different options. We did not go forward with anything yet because we want to pursue the very best option. As long as we utilize the correct and the right option, then we will still be able to use the information that's available to us. The biggest issue for those of you who do not understand how the law works, some states, if you use evidence in a case and you present that evidence in one case, some states will not allow you to use that evidence again. I'll say that again. Some states won't allow you to use that same evidence again. So it's important that we not only understand what options we have, but the best route to go. Besides that, and here's the last point I want to make on this. We all should understand, if nothing else, that what we get by when it comes to man, what people do not hold us accountable for, we're not going to get by God.
Of course.
Whatever we do, it's going to come back. Scripture tells us God will not be mocked. What that means is you don't have to believe him. But please don't mess around and find out. God, he said, whatever you sow, that is what you're going to reap. And what that means is, just like you go into a garden, if you plant cucumber seeds, you will not get corn. What you do in this lifetime, you're going to get back. In short, everything that's been done can be brought forward with truth and with facts, and something will be done about it. So it's not over just because it might look like it's over. Let me share with you some of the benefits of what it is that we've been doing. Some individuals have put out there that maybe you need to get a lawyer. Maybe we need to get a lawyer. Maybe we need to start doing this, that, and the other. Okay, if any of you have ever been a shop steward on your job, or any of you know a person that's been a shop steward on their job, then you understand that there are certain things about being a shop steward that gives you the right to go around certain laws as you bring evidence forward. While collecting these things, it makes it easier to present it. So this has taken a little bit of time because we've been gathering a whole lot of information. And the information that we've gathered is factual. It is easy to prove. It is easy to show. And last but not least, it is undeniable. Now, what that means is you can't dispute it. Anybody that has indisputable, undeniable evidence, the burden of proof is on the other party to try to show that they didn't do it. But when the evidence is undeniable, the case is just about won already. That's what we have. And even though this has taken this much time, let's keep in mind it's been over 100 years. Okay. So this is also
Question.
question.
At the very bottom of the chat.
I don't see. Okay.
You want me to read?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's for the law.
Okay. What are you all trying to organize and do? We're not trying to organize anything. The organization has already been organized. So what this is the people within the organization coming together so that we can look at events that have transpired, determine where the organization is, and then decide where the organization is going. This is why an invitation was extended to everyone within the organization, so that everybody would have the opportunity to have some input in where it is that we're going, as well as to discuss and talk about the things that have been transpired and where we stand right now. So what we would have needed to organize has already been organized. And that's simply the members of the organization. The question right now is whether or not you're a member that is in support of the organization doing what is right and getting to the bottom of any issues, or whether you're a member that simply says, well, I don't care how anything goes. I just like being a member. That's the only difference. There should not be any member there should not be any member at all that does not care. So I hope that answers your question, but we're not trying to organize anything. Also, what this does, this allows us to save money. When you acquire legal representation, you must first put out a retainer. And there's some that will take cases such as this pro bono, where you're not putting anything up front. But again, I'm just making sure that you all understand why we've gone the way that we've gone so far. Direct control over your case. This is what we have, direct control. There's no questions we have to ask anybody. There's no permission we have to get from anyone. There's no approvals that we have to have from anyone. We so far have managed our own strategy through nothing but prayer and fasting. And we have had the opportunity to determine which direction this case is going forward. It allows us also to be able to come to a decision faster rather than a group of individuals trying to decide certain things. This is the opportunity where we don't have to wait. So we can simply make a decision and move on that decision. The resources that's available has been cut off from us because the resources are organizational wide. But in doing what we're doing, once again, not having resources allows us to have as a justifiable reason to go around certain criteria. So if the question is asked, well, why didn't you do this? Why didn't you do that? The number one answer, most common answer that will allow the court to excuse it is not having the resources. So again, there's a method to some people's madness. Not getting an attorney for any of these things allowed us to do everything that we've done so far. And the members of the organization have no clue about the things that we've come to and the weight of some of these issues. Now, a few words of, as we go forward with the legal issues, I'm now going to talk about one position in the organization. For the rest of this meeting, we're going to talk about one position in the organization. The next meeting, we're going to talk about another position in the organization. And the next meeting, we're going to talk about one last position in the organization. So you understand that one meeting, again, will follow and build on the last. It's necessary for you to understand each and every position. And this is why we're talking about this. I'm not going to go into the obligations and responsibilities yet, but I want to talk about the requirements by law. And when I say obligations to the organization, that's what I'm talking about. But according to the letter of the law of the land, we're going to talk about the chairman of the board. Every organization, primarily and most importantly, a nonprofit organization, must have a board of directors. There must be a chairman of that board. Now, I talked about some of this in the videos. I did not go into extensive detail about these things, and I will be covering that tonight. Also, we're going to talk about legal charges that can be weighed against these individuals if they do not fulfill their obligations. And once again, this is why it's necessary for everybody to be here so that they understand what the risks are, so that they understand what the possibilities are and probability because of what has happened already, and so that they can understand why certain individuals may possibly end up dealing with these consequences. So let's start. There are usually few legal qualifications that a chairman must abide by. But the number one qualification that a chairman of the board of directors, they must fulfill is they have to be a member of the board of directors. It cannot be somebody who's not on the board of directors. They cannot be appointed. They cannot be appointed. It is illegal to appoint a chairman of the board. Okay? They can only be appointed under extenuating circumstances. If those extenuating circumstances are not met, they must be elected according to that organization's bylaws or the shareholder agreement if it's a for-profit organization. Okay. In some jurisdictions or regulated industries, there may be additional qualifications, but those two are top tier. The legal responsibilities and obligations as set forth by state and federal regulations are that there are fiduciary duties, FIDUCIARY duties. These are obligations and responsibilities that they must carry out. There's no options in the matter. All the board members have this duty. So this is not something that is unique to the chairman of the board. Every single board member must do what I'm about to tell you. There is a duty of care. The board of directors and the chairman, again, we're talking about the chairman, they must act with reasonable care, diligence, and competence. This includes being informed about company matters or organizational business. They must be informed. Okay? They must attend the meetings regularly and making decisions based on facts and good judgment. They must make their decisions on facts and good judgment. There is a duty of loyalty. The duty of loyalty says they must act in the best interests of the organization. Now, here's why this meeting is so important. Can you, okay, no, I was going to ask if something could be pinned, but this is why this meeting is so important. We all have heard about the General Assembly in our organization. In the General Assembly, there's something called when you first arrive. No, when they go over everything with everybody in the beginning, they tell you
housekeeping.
No, what's the first part? It's on the tip of my tongue. When everybody orientation. Thank you.
Oh, yeah.
They must have orientation. The purpose of orientation is to do what I'm doing right now. What we're doing right now is what should be done every year in every single General Assembly. Why? Because every single member of the General Assembly does not know how it works, what your responsibilities are, and lastly, but most importantly, the legal consequences if you do not fulfill those obligations. Every member of the General Assembly can, and many times have, been held liable for not doing what the fiduciary duties are of that in that organization. That includes receiving fines and in some cases, jail time. So that's why orientation must be held. It's always in black and white, but there's many of our members that have never attended an official orientation within our organization.
Didn't even tell me there was one.
Right? Now, again, it's important to know this because all of these are legitimate, official, regulated responsibilities. And if it's not being done, we have a saying in the military. When somebody is, y'all know how children say, "Oh, you in trouble." We say in the military, stand by for standby. So every member of the organization that's ever attended a General Assembly, they did not, or no, they failed to inform you that you are now liable to legal, regulated obligations and responsibilities. And you can be brought to court in the event that you do not carry out your responsibilities. Now, does everybody understand the importance of this meeting? Everyone needs to know this so that you also understand why it's important that every representative, every delegate comes back to those local congregations and they read to every member in that meeting, in that house, what took place in the General Assembly. It is not a house of prayer protocol. It is a federal and a state regulated protocol. Okay, so I hope you all understand right now where these three meetings are going. Just because a dog does not bark does not mean that dog will not bite. And we've seen a lot of times people just keep right on doing things. And so where we're going with this is to show you all what is coming up. There is a duty of obedience, especially in nonprofits. And federal and state regulations, they look into nonprofits first because they know many people in nonprofits do not know the law. They know that for-profit companies, they're guaranteed to know the law. Why? Because people will sue them in a heartbeat. But a nonprofit, people very rarely sue nonprofits. And because of that, states and federal agencies know that those who are in leadership positions, they take advantage of those in nonprofits all the time because they know that they don't know the law. So the duty of obedience is that's at the top of the list, extremely important. And that obedience means that they must comply with the law, not just the law of the land, but whatever their own law is. This is why our Constitution is so important. Now, the chairman of the board of directors Everybody knows what that title is in the organization, correct? That title in the organization is the General Assembly Secretary. The chairman of the board of directors is the General Assembly Secretary within our organization. Now, there are some people that will argue that that's not the case. But according to how the Constitution is written up, because it was written up to cover up, if there is a true board of directors that the members don't know anything about, the Constitution has been written to cover it up. And as a result of covering the board of directors in the Constitution, what has legally been done is they made the General Assembly now the board of directors. And this is what the law of the land will enforce. So the chairman of the board is not whoever's on a private board that the members don't know anything about. The chairman of the board is the General Assembly Secretary who's over the General Assembly, which is the one meeting that everybody knows about. That's the one meeting where we elect the chief executive officer. Only boards of directors do that. And because they gave that, according to the Constitution, to the General Assembly is now the board of directors. So what does that mean for us? The board of directors chairman, his responsibility is to preside over the board meetings. I'm going to say that one more time. The chairman of the board's responsibility is to preside over the board meetings. In the Constitution of our organization, it has been written unknowingly to the people that the chairman of the board does not preside over the board meeting. Now, I'm going to say this, and I'm not going to talk about the law of the house of prayer anymore until we get to the end. This is one of those things that regulation agencies look for. Because again, in a nonprofit, they know that the people don't know. Okay? So the chairman of the board, he's supposed to preside over the board meetings. Right now, he has not. For over 50 years, we've had somebody else presiding. This is a major problem. So for any member in the organization who feels like, well, I don't care, I just like the organization, I'm telling you that you're soon about to care more than ever. Another responsibility of the chairman of the board is to set or approve agendas. They do that while working with the CEO or the board secretary. But they either approve or they set agendas. However, the agendas are supposed to be set by the board, not by a handful of people that the organization knows nothing about. The chairman is supposed to ensure that the meeting is run orderly and effectively. Orderly means according to the letter of the law. They make sure that there's no arguing, anything gets out of hand, and they make sure that everyone does everything by the book. They're supposed to encourage full participation. And here's another biggie. I'm taking my time so that you all understand how serious these regulation agencies are about this. They're supposed to encourage full participation and fair discussion. What that means is that person's supposed to make sure that everybody in the meeting has had ample opportunity to speak or share whatever is on their mind. That has never happened. That too is a huge problem. They're supposed to guide the board towards consensus, meaning unification based on understanding of what's being done. And they're supposed to guide the board in making sound decisions. This is a huge problem because, again, we have not had that happen. They're supposed to be, here's a word that you all know we don't have. They're supposed to be in governance of oversight. The chairman of the board, the General Assembly Secretary, is supposed to be over the group who make sure that they have oversight of any and every body or group to ensure that they're doing everything within the law. If any person or any group of people within any nonprofit organization does anything outside of the confinements of the laws of that organization, the first person that will be called into question by the agencies of the land to hold him accountable or her is the chairman of the board. This is why it's important for everybody to understand there's responsibilities and the obligations. Because when you accept a title according to the law of the land, you're accepting legal ramifications, legal consequences, because you're being given legal responsibilities. You cannot, according to the law of the land, take a title and you don't intend on fulfilling the obligations and responsibilities. You don't intend on abiding by the laws that title puts you under while you enforce it. This is a huge problem. For that one thing, many people are waiting right now in prison to get out. Many people have served years for that one thing alone, being a chairman of a board, and have not fulfilled any of the responsibilities. And the reason why the judge did not care and sent them to jail anyway is because before you accept a title of responsibility, putting you over an organization that's operating within these United States, and you don't know the law, you're asking for prison time. That's how they look at it. This is why it said that any person who represents themselves in a court of law, that person who represents themselves, they have a fool for a client. That's why they say that. Because to hire someone means you're hiring somebody that knows the law. But if you don't know the law, why would you even take a title or a position that says it's your responsibility to make sure everything is running according to the law? Another problem is the chairman helps to ensure that the entire board operates within its own constitution. The chairman of the board is supposed to make sure that the constitution is being followed to the letter. The chairman of the board, once again, in our organization, is the General Assembly Secretary. And we already know many times the General Assembly Secretary and their assistant has not been elected. They have been appointed. While certain things were done in front of the members to make it appear as if they were elected. So I'm expressly bringing these things to the entire organization so that everybody would understand the expectation from outside of these people holding positions, holding titles, and they're supposed to make sure that they run the organization according to regulations that outside people are going to enforce. But just because inside people have not enforced it does not mean that the people in positions are going to get away. Because outside, what they say is, you should have known better. You cannot operate in any state in this country and not be held to regulations and laws by the state and the federal government. So what that means is this. We can tell ourselves, we can lie to ourselves, we can fool ourselves into thinking that our organization is based on what the will of God is. We can lie to ourselves and convince ourselves that this is God's organization. This is God's will. Everything going on in here is protected by God. We can lie to ourselves all day long. But the problem is, outside, they're going to show everybody inside that they got more power than us wishing that this is God's organization. They're the ones who's going to tell everybody in this organization that what you've been believing all this time has been fraudulent. In other words, it is nothing more than a lie. Anytime you have a law that says you are a part of a 501c3, you are under certain codes that you must pay taxes, and other codes that says you're exempt from taxes. That means that God himself is not going to stop what outside agencies are going to do to you if you do not comply with those laws. Let me put it this way. Jesus himself said to take what belongs to Caesar, give it to Caesar, and give to God what belongs to God. What he meant by that is, don't try to trap me by asking me no questions about taxes. If Rome is over Israel, and Israel agreed, Israel's leaders agreed that they would pay Rome taxes, well, since you made that agreement, you must pay them taxes. Now, Rome has laws in order for Israel to abide by. And that's why even the high priest himself could not go to Pilate and say, no, Pilate, we're not paying no taxes. These are God's people, and this is God's house. And you can take your taxes and whatever else with Rome and leave or do whatever you want. We're not going to do it. But they didn't do that because they knew they made an agreement. And they knew that Rome is going to come down on them with the full force of the laws that they ignored. So the priests in the Bible and the high priest, they made sure that they kept the people in submission to the laws of the land. Our organization has not been submissive to the laws of the land. And this is why every member of the organization needs to come so that you can get some understanding, because we are about to be in for a huge awakening. Now, if we don't let everybody else know, that y'all better pay attention to what's going on, because throughout the country, a whole lot of surprises are taking place right now, especially with a lot of agencies that's been getting away with things. We had 6 religious institutions in the last 5 or 6 weeks where the leaders have been picked up and now they're behind bars while waiting for their day in court. They're not waiting to get out. They're waiting just for the government to bring forward and present their case against them. These things are coming, and the members need to do what's necessary to get ourselves in line so that we don't end up paying the ultimate price. So let's continue with the chairman of the board. The chairman, his directors are supposed to understand their roles and their leaders' legal obligations. Every leader in the organization, they are the ones that will be held accountable for not knowing the law. Every member of the organization, even if you're not a part of the leadership, you will also be held accountable for not knowing the law in the event that you worked along with the leaders of the organization. They're not going to hear anything at all about the titles that we give in the house of prayer. They're not going to hear nothing about that. They're going to call the person's full name, and they're going to call a number that they assign to them in court. And when they sit in that chair in court, I can personally guarantee you, nobody is going to say that they looked at someone else and they thought that God was speaking to them. They're not going to say that in court. If they do say it in court, the court will then take the opportunity to show every single body in that courtroom that God was not speaking when they heard from this person. So as we go forward, the chairman of the board, the committees function effectively. The chairman of the board is supposed to also oversee and make sure that there is an audit of all of the organization's holdings. Why does the chairman supposed to do that? So that the board understands what the audit is saying, so that the board understands what the holdings of the organization is. It's important to know so that the board knows whether or not anybody is stealing from the organization. The chairman of the board's job is to be somewhat of that chief of police. He oversees all those little teeny tiny details that the board decides how they're going to set it up. The chairman of the board also oversees the compensation plan for all of the executive officers. The chairman puts it in the hands of the board to decide the compensation plan. What do we want to compensate these officers? What do we want to pay them? What responsibilities do we want to give them? I've been asking since the beginning of this year, what are the responsibilities of our executive officer? Nobody has been able to answer that question yet. We're going to come back to that in the last meeting. But the chairman of the board is supposed to also allow the board to determine what benefits they want to give, how much they want to pay, how often they want to pay, and they're the ones that determine how long the people who's in these executive offices are going to fulfill the obligations of that office. They're the ones that determine whether or not they're going to fulfill a 5-year cycle, a 2-year cycle, or if they're going to have a review every 3 months. The chairman don't make the decisions, but he oversees it. The chairman also oversees performance evaluations of the board. One more time. The chairman also oversees performance evaluations of the board. That means the board not only is supposed to be having a performance evaluation, but also all of the executive officers are supposed to be evaluated on their performance, including the chief executive officer. The members are supposed to determine whether or not he's doing a good job, or she, in all these nonprofits, whether or not they're doing a lousy job, whether or not they need to be replaced, whether or not they need to be approved to be extended, whether or not they go on probation, or whether or not they need to be removed. This is what the performance evaluation will determine. We've never had a performance evaluation of our officers, and the chairman has never, ever put one forth. This is a serious problem. The liaison role. The chairman of the board. The chairman acts as a liaison. He is the bridge between the board. The board represents all the people. He's the bridge between the board and management. He's the bridge. He talks to all of the executive officers. Now, here's another problem. We only know of, well, let me ask, how many of you all know of more than one executive officer in the organization? We only have one. There are several executive officers in a nonprofit or for-profit. Mm-hmm. Several. Why in the world will be the question coming from court or the regulating agencies? Why do y'all have only one executive officer? And is that one executive officer responsible for all the responsibilities of all of the executive officers that you don't have? This is a serious problem. The liaison role also is a representative of the board to shareholders. Meaning, if the people of the organization have questions, especially when there is not a meeting, if there's no meeting, we only have one a year. Outside of that meeting, if the people have questions, they seek and get their answers from the chairman of the board or the General Assembly secretary. He's supposed to come forward and share the information with the members. That should be regularly. No, exactly. Many of these things is not happening at all. None whatsoever. Do y'all understand where this is going? Where these regulating agencies will have a field day. Are you beginning to see why nobody has ever challenged what we're doing on this channel? No one has pursued anything against us on this channel. Let's continue. The board of directors chairman of the board, he's the point of contact during major decisions. If it's a major decision that needs to be made, well, let's contact the chairman. The chairman will contact the board members. And the chairman can call a board meeting whenever he feels the need. It's not restricted to one time a year. And many times, agencies, corporations, organizations, especially nonprofits, will have an unscheduled board meeting because things come up all the time. But the chairman is the one who will call those meetings. Now, this is optional going forward, but it's also one of the common duties of a chairman of the board. They may oversee the CEO hiring and firing and their performance reviews. They can oversee it. It's not necessary because that's in the hands of the board of directors. So again, the people are the ones that do that. They're the ones that take care of that. But he can oversee it. They have the option of helping with strategic planning. Where are we going to go as an organization? What are we going to do as an organization? Decisions made about the holdings and the money of the organization. All of these things are discussions being held by the board of directors. The chairman, they can represent the organization at public or official functions. So the board of directors don't have to come forward. As long as the chairman of the board is present, he can represent. They sign important board documents or resolutions. And I said I wasn't going to show you this, but I'm not going to talk about it. But this is why y'all see at the back of the Constitution. The back of the Constitution, it has signatures. And one of those signatures is the signature of the General Assembly Secretary. Why? Because he's the chairman of the board. So, that said, the chairman has legal liabilities. Here's your number one or first one. If the chairman fails to uphold fiduciary duties, they can be held personally liable by themselves. People can hold that one person liable by themselves for breach of duty. If a chairman of the board, General Assembly Secretary, does not keep his obligations, does not keep his responsibilities, they can now be held accountable by anybody that brings them up on charges with the accusation that they've breached their duties. They did not carry out the responsibilities of the chairman of the board. He will be held accountable once that takes place. He can and will be held personally, not the organization, him personally accountable for negligence if they neglect to do what the law says to do. He can and will be personally held liable because they neglected their legally bound responsibilities. They can be held personally liable for conflicts of interest. You cannot do certain things as the chairman of the board. You can't work hand in hand with certain people in secret. You can't come to different agreements behind the people's back. You cannot agree and make arrangements without the consent of the people. These things are not supposed to happen. And every time they do, it is another charge. And the way the law works, I'm going to use as an example. Everybody, here's your question. If you're driving in a car and you spill a cup of coffee, it's hot, you lose control of the car, you swerve and hit 4 people on the sidewalk. 3 of them ends up leaving and departing. 1 survives, but now they're paralyzed. How many charges will you be facing in court? Only 1? No.
It don't work like that.
It doesn't work that way. Like a million.
Right.
For each of those people, 4 people, you're going to get a list of charges for each one. It's not just going to be 4 charges. You're going to get a list of charges for each person. You might have 2 for each one. You might have 3 for one. You might have 5 for one other person. But you're getting a list of charges, and all you did was spill coffee, lost control of your car. My point is, every time this individual in this position does not abide by or keep the responsibilities of the law, every single one of them become an infraction. It becomes a charge. Now, the problem with this list is in the land of the law of the land, the courts outside, each charge comes with its own penalty. This is a problem. They can be charged with corporate misconduct. This is enough. People, we need to understand. Why is it important for you to understand what I'm saying tonight? Because every General Assembly, you can be a delegate. And if you're a delegate, you now are bound to these laws, which is why they're supposed to orientate you to the laws of the land as well as the rules in the organization. Now, even when the members don't know, do you all think the law of the land going to say that's no problem? We got you. We know that they didn't know. You're going to get nailed the hardest because they make examples out of nonprofits all the time. We have a few examples that I'm going to read right after this. Many companies carry directors and officers insurance. How many of you did not know that a board of director and their chairman, they have insurance policies that they can purchase in case somebody sue them for not keeping their fiduciary duties. There's an insurance plan for this stuff because they know that they get sued all the time. But the members of the House, our organization, didn't know that. That's how important it is to understand this law. It's so important that you have your own insurance just being a chairman of the board of directors. The problem with this is every member as a delegate, you're supposed to be covered by insurance too. Because if a member of your congregation does not like your minutes, if you go back and you have some messed up minutes or you don't have no minutes, do y'all know that a member can sue you and take you to court because you failed to keep your legally bound responsibility at the General Assembly? This is why there's an orientation, so that you understand what you're getting into when you say, I accept. Bound by jurisdiction and bylaws is every single member that goes to the General Assembly and every single officer of the organization. They're bound by rules outside the house of prayer. Nonprofit laws in your jurisdiction is the ones that cover and govern board duties. The organization's charter, articles of incorporation, and bylaws, in our case, the Constitution, will define and limit the chairman's powers and obligations. Now, mind you, everything we've covered tonight, that's just this one person in our organization. All of this applies to that one person. The weight of his responsibilities are so heavy that when they are held accountable,
hang on one second.
When they're held accountable, one second.
I think it's okay. Yeah.
When they're held accountable, the consequences are severe because the responsibility is so great. The Constitution of the organization is the one thing that they are going to enforce. And because the Constitution is what they're going to enforce, that's why we need to make sure we control what goes in and what comes out of the Constitution. If the members do not know what's in your Constitution, then many things will be enforced against the members. And ignorance is no excuse. All of you who drive, when policemen pull you over and tell you that you were speeding in a reduced speed zone, you tell them, well, I didn't see a sign. They're going to tell you ignorance is no excuse. They're going to hold you accountable, and you're still getting a ticket, and you still must appear. All of these things, the chairman of the board is responsible for. Now, as I sum this up, we're going to get ready to talk about the criminal charges. If a chairman of the board of a nonprofit organization assists or is complicit in fraudulent, one, or unethical behavior by the CEO, such as fraud, embezzlement, theft, altering the organization's constitution without member knowledge or consent, multiple serious criminal charges can, and in most cases are, brought against them, depending on the jurisdiction and the exact facts. Here's a breakdown of the most likely criminal charges that a chairman could face in this type of situation. Fraud. Fraud is defined as an intentional deceiving of others to gain an unlawful or an unfair advantage. The intentional deceiving of others to gain an unfair or an unlawful advantage. It doesn't matter in what area. Why is that so severe? Because as the chairman of the board, it's the same as what they do on Wall Street. If you do something called insider trading, how many of y'all remember a woman by the name of Martha Stewart? As many people love that woman to death, Martha Stewart got caught doing what's called insider trading. You cannot make money in the industry of trade when you received inside information. You can't do that. That's illegal. And she served prison time. Mm-hmm. With this individual in this position as a chairman of the board, they have inside information. You can't use your information, not letting the people know, and give yourself or assist the CEO. That's what this law is pertaining to. You cannot assist or conspire with them to give yourself an unfair or an unlawful advantage of anything. Now, here's our problem with this. There's a gentleman by the name of, what was it? The company was, I think it's called Enron. It is Enron. Enron. I think that's it. It was an energy company. Trading. They ran into problems with trading. But either the CEO, I think it was the CEO, and his chairman of the board conspired together. And what was his name? Bernie Madoff.
Oh, that's who he's talking about in the comment.
What comments?
On the live.
Oh, yes. Bernie Madoff. Anyway, it was one of the biggest cases in the history of fraud. The partner who was the chairman of the board, I think, he was in so much trouble and he knew he was facing so much jail time that he ended himself. But Bernie went on to prison, and I think he got 37 years. I'm not sure, but it was one of the largest cases that became a scandal because many people had their money tied up in this company. But that's why this is a big deal. If the chairman knew about or helped conceal, that means help to hide it. If they knew about it or not both, even if he just knew about it. But if he helped to hide it also, you're compounding the consequences. But either one, if they helped or knew about the CEO's fraudulent actions, they can be charged as a co-conspirator, which means they were actively involved, or they can be charged as an aider and abettor, for aiding and abetting, for assisting or enabling the CEO to commit fraud. Okay, these are some very serious issues. Possible charges include wire fraud, if they use electronic communication at all, at any time while committing fraud, that adds another charge of wire fraud at any time. If they use the post office to mail one single letter, that now becomes another charge called mail fraud. If they use fraud to utilize anything within a nonprofit or a charitable organization, that's now another charge called organizational fraud. Y'all, the penalties for that one charge alone can include fines, restitution, and on top of that, prison time. Restitution, you're going to take all that you took and you're going to give it back. You're going to give it back. Especially in large scale or donor related fraud. In our organization deals with a lot of donors giving donations. So now this is also, besides organizational fraud, it also becomes donor-related fraud. Another charge is embezzlement. That is defined as theft or misappropriation of funds that was entrusted to someone else. The money that's in the holdings for the organization is not your money to do whatever you feel like doing with it. Whenever an executive officer in any organization takes money from that organization's holdings without seeking and getting approval, or without the members of the board meeting about and having discussion on what you'd like to spend that money for, it's now without their consent. That now tacks on more charges. But this is the definition of embezzlement. When you misappropriate money that was not given to you to do with what you want. If the chairman helped the CEO steal or misuse nonprofit funds, or a third thing, ignored clear signs of embezzlement, either one or the other or the other. If you help them to steal, or if you help them to misuse nonprofit funds, or if you ignored the signs of embezzlement, now you can be charged with embezzlement in itself. You can be charged with accessory to embezzlement. You can be charged with criminal negligence if you failed to act and you allowed the crime to take place. Theft If the chairman personally benefited by receiving some of the stolen or embezzled money, or if they helped the CEO to take, they then can be charged with theft or larceny. They can be charged with another charge, receiving stolen property. If you are part of a situation where you got a kickback because you allowed something or because you did something and you assisted and helped out a CEO or somebody else in a nonprofit while you utilize your position to make sure that it gets covered up or slid under the carpet, stand by for standby. Theft, larceny, receiving of stolen property, conspiracy to commit theft. The amount stolen may affect whether it's a misdemeanor or felony. And in all of these cases, it will not be a misdemeanor. It will definitely be felony. If I'm not mistaken, misdemeanor is below, the laws have changed. The misdemeanor is below $5,000 or $500. No, $500. Anyway, I'm gonna come back and check on that for those of you who want to know. But the monies that's being dealt with in our organization ends up being a felony. That's on top of everything else. Another crime is called abuse of office. Breach of fiduciary duty is a criminal charge. While fiduciary breaches are often civil matters, they can rise to become a criminal matter whenever there is intentional misconduct. And we know within our organization, the misconduct has definitely been intentional. Individuals have been ignored. When individuals try to come forward or try to pull the coattail on individuals' jackets to bring to their attention, they're shunned. It's intentional. Whenever their crime involves personal gain, it becomes criminal charge. Whenever it's malicious abuse of power, that means constantly abusing your power. It's malicious. It's another charge. In some jurisdictions, abuse of fiduciary position to commit or cover up a crime can result in criminal charges. Criminal charges means you're not going to get a slap on the wrist. You're going to get more penalties piled up on top of the other penalties. And with all of that said, this stuff is not going to easily go away. You are looking at time on top of time on top of time. Another one is conspiracy. The definition of conspiracy is agreeing with others to commit a crime. You've conspired. Even if you didn't carry it out yourself, you agreed to have the crime committed. And you sat back knowing about it, talked about it, discussed it, and you agreed. If the chairman worked with the CEO to plan or enable illegal activities, they both can face criminal conspiracy charges. People, y'all need to let everybody know. You want to make sure that you understand the weight of taking these titles and positions in this here nonprofit that obviously is getting cleaned up, because we have been all over the place. Another charge is forgery or falsification of documents. Forgery does not mean necessarily you have to sign somebody else's name. Every single one of you on this in this meeting, for those of you who have ever filed taxes, for those of you who have ever signed any type of government work, even if you've just applied for a job, if you filled out school paperwork for your children, if you filled out paperwork for medical procedures or pharmaceutical paperwork to receive medicine, there's a line that says, I signed this line in agreement that I've fulfilled or I've given true and accurate information according to the best of my knowledge. Whenever you sign that piece of paper with that clause that you have given this information to the best of your knowledge, if it is proven that you did not give the information to the best of your knowledge, you now face criminal charges. That's falsification of documents. If the chairman helped alter nonprofits' constitution or their bylaws without approval, and that's one. If they falsified board minutes, see, I've been saying, every time we have meetings, they constantly waive the reading of the minutes. Okay? Y'all need to know that everything being said in these meetings and some things not being said in these meetings are being put inside of these minutes. And if it's ever proven that the minutes have been falsified, that's a whole nother charge. Financial reports. If the financial reports are falsified, that's another charge. See, I'm going to tell you, I've personally seen falsification of financial reports. All that means is writing $1 in a book instead of writing $10. By not adding that zero, you just falsified a record. That's a criminal charge, depending on the amount of money that it is. On top of all these other charges, you just added more time. If they falsify legal filings, that's falsification of documents. You can then be charged with another charge called forgery. Forgery will get you some more time. Filing false documents will get you more time. Fraudulent misrepresentation will get you more time. I'm going to try to hurry up because I want to try to keep these meetings, as I said, at 2 hours, no more than 2. If it spills over to no more than 2.5. Fraudulent misrepresentation is another. Obstruction of justice. If the chairman tries to cover up the crime, you've now committed obstruction. You try to cover it up to fix it so nobody can catch you in it, that is obstruction. If you destroy or alter evidence, that is obstruction of justice. If you lie to an investigator, that is obstruction. And an investigator can be anyone, such as a member of the organization asking you a question in a private conversation. If you don't tell the truth, knowing that that question from that member identifies the fraud that's been committed, that person can go and testify against you, and now you're getting hit with obstruction of justice. Perjury, if you lie under oath. Tampering with evidence. All of these are additional charges. Y'all have no idea. I think I shared with the channel that the organization, I'm sure, keeps 3 sets of books. If I'm wrong, I know they keep 2. You don't even have to be at the headquarters because several chairmen keep more than 1 set of books.
Someone commented.
Huh?
Someone just commented that.
Oh, absolutely. And it's so they do it so often that now they don't even care. Many pastors are keeping more than 1 set of books. This is why, how many times have y'all been there and you've seen reports passed up and the one at the top is saying, is this right? Secretary, is this right? Y'all sure this right? Why is he saying it? Because he knows that many times those reports were fraudulent. And then they go back and try to hurry up and quickly add the money and deposit it into the bank before the check get cashed. That's why now, I think it started about 13 years ago, they start cashing the checks the same night because many pastors were giving fraudulent reports. And that too is tampering with evidence if they try to cover it up. Violation of charity or nonprofit laws in many jurisdictions, nonprofit boards, board members, the General Assembly delegates must operate transparently. Everything you do must be in the open according to the law. You cannot do anything behind closed doors. It has to be done in full transparency. You must follow specific governance procedures. It is a must. You must report financial activity honestly, and it must be reported. Only in this organization have we done things no one knows of nothing. I'm telling y'all start talking to the people because all this stuff is coming up. Criminal penalties can be applied if a chairman knowingly disregards these laws. If they fail to report known misconduct, if they alter governing documents illegally. I see a question. Do I think exposing all these charts? Oh, no. Trust me, I know what I'm doing. I'm doing this on purpose. Remember, I invited the entire leadership to be in this meeting. I invited them to come. And I knew I was going to present this information. I'm presenting it on purpose so that they know what information is being presented. Now, these things become worse whenever you can show and prove that you told them the consequences that they're going to face. And they still ignored everything you said and continued going forward, eating like that Pac-Man game, Pac-Man pellets, gobbling them up. So now there's no excuse. You can't say you didn't know. This is a tip. The way you put things out is how you walk people right down the road. If they want to do right, they will steer right. If they don't want to do right, they will steer left every single time. And now when it's brought forward, they have no place to hide. Criminal penalties can be applied if he knew about these things and disregarded these laws. If he knew and disregarded the laws, and that's what's happening right now. By putting these things out from this night going forward, now it can be easily shown that they've disregarded the laws of the land. They've already disregarded the laws of the organization. But now this is moving into disregarding the laws of the land. If they fail to report known misconduct, if they alter governing documents illegally, potential penalties. Penalties vary depending on the severity, the amount involved, local laws, and they can include criminal fines, restitution, prison sentences, often up to 5 to 20 years for each crime. 5 to 20 for each crime. Disqualification from holding future nonprofit or corporate roles. They are disqualified by the land, the authority of the land. The court of the land will disqualify them forever from holding any position in any nonprofit or corporation, period. Not just that one, any. Civil lawsuits, which are separate from criminal penalties. And when it comes to restitution, that means any monies that they have handled that's been embezzled, stolen, misappropriate, anything, they now are going to be responsible for getting all that money and giving it back. Key legal concepts that apply. The fiduciary duty, the chairman failed to act in the best interests of the nonprofit organization. Willful blindness is another concept. They knew something was wrong, but they chose to ignore it. Aiding and abetting, they helped someone else commit a crime. Conspiracy, they planned the crime with one or more people. Misappropriation is using the funds of the nonprofit for resources, or their resources of the nonprofit for their personal use or gain. The bottom line is this: if a chairman assists a CEO in financial crimes or governance manipulation, they can face serious criminal charges. Even passive knowledge and inaction, not doing anything, can lead to their being liable. Right. To not do nothing will not get them off the hook. Not doing anything is what nails most of them every single time, because you knew about it and you did nothing. Especially in a fiduciary role like chairman of the board. The agencies look at you first and they say you should have known better. So when we look at the chairman of the board, the General Assembly secretary, a lot of times they serve in other areas. Like the last one, they were the chief, the head judge. So now the outside agency says, wait a minute, you were also a head judge? Not just a judge, you were the head judge? Oh, they're going to nail you even harder because they knew you knew better. And then you're in a position as the second in command, senior minister. I'm telling you all, you need to know this so that you understand what's coming up. If you suspect such behavior in a nonprofit, it is critical to report that information to the organization's oversight committee. Now, y'all heard what I just said. Now, what's the problem here?
Who's our oversight committee?
This organization has never had an oversight committee. Are you serious?
That should be number one.
I'm going to tell y'all something I wasn't going to say. Some legal experts are in complete shock and awe. They have no idea how in the world this organization, the members, have allowed this to go on for so long without knowing what's going on. I'm telling y'all what's coming to prepare you for the change that's coming. If you suspect this behavior, it's critical to report to, number one, the organization's oversight committee. Secondly, after that, government regulators. Now, you got a bunch of different regulators all over this country. Okay, I'm not going to say no more there. And the agencies that enforce the law in cases of fraud or theft. Telling y'all what's coming. Now I'm going to give you a few examples. In 2023, the leadership of Second Baptist Church in Houston quietly amended their church's bylaws to remove the congregational voting rights of its members of 90,000 people. This is in the Houston Chronicle. This is a newspaper article. The amendments centralized powers in what the plaintiffs, the members, call the young group, family, and staff of the pastor. What they did is they took the powers from the people and they gave all the voting powers to the family members of their pastor secretly. This was done in order to appoint them to leadership and to control the assets of that organization and to make major decisions without the congregation's input. Does any of this sound familiar? A group of the members got together and they filed a lawsuit in April this year to challenge the changes, to restore the members' voting rights, and to return the powers of governance transparency back to the people. Now, that is on its way to court as we speak. As of now, they have a date set in February to go to trial, 2026. I can tell you almost what's going to happen because the court is going to back up those members. This is a clear-cut case of fraud, manipulation, embezzlement, breach of fiduciary duties. It's also conspiracy. It's also forgery. It's also alteration of documents. I can go on and on and on. And if they don't get their act together, this whole family, for those who are 18 and over, they're going to be in some hot water come February. So another example is the Noble Foundation in the state of Washington. This one is further along, this case. The state's attorney general sued the former directors of the Noble Foundation for misuse of charitable funds, spending the nonprofit organization's money without consent of the people. Okay? And the foundation raised money to serve low income and certain communities, also involving low income. But the founder used those funds for their personal benefit. They bought vehicles, paid themselves, and they put money down to buy a house. The court awarded a judgment of over $1.4 million against the founder and former directors to recover the misused funds. So they got to come up with 1.4 million. That was the amount that they used and took. So that was restitution. They had to pay that back. And then the individuals that were on the board, they had to go and recover every dime that was misused. So anybody who's asking, well, what about? These are real cases of what it is that courts have ordered to be done whenever there was misappropriation, misuse, or fraud and things of that nature due to nonprofits. Now, we're not talking about for-profit, we're talking about nonprofit. What this allows, in fact, let me go to another case. Well, no, let me talk about what it allows us to see. This shows that when members of the organization or oversight authorities, the members that have a body that carries out oversight, they look into things to make sure that this is legitimate, this is legal, this is according to the rules, that this is not shady. That's what the members of the oversight committee does. When they bring attention and legal pressure to a matter, it can succeed in making those in charge repay misused funds. Okay. Now the issue here, I don't even want to talk about that yet. There's so much misappropriation of funds in our organization. It is not even funny. The last case I want to talk about is in August 2023, 7 board members of the American Civil Liberties Union, ACLU, of Florida filed a lawsuit in Sarasota seeking reinstatement to their positions. 7 board members. They claimed that the National ACLU organization wrongfully removed them after they resisted shifting the organization's mission towards partisan political activities. So they said, no, we're not going to do something. And then the ACLU organization removed them from their positions. This is illegal. The plaintiffs contended that their removal violated the state of Florida's nonprofit laws and the organization's bylaws, both the bylaws of the organization and the state regulations. The outcome, the case was settled in 2024 with the National ACLU agreeing, they agreed to reinstate every single one of them and then pay them each a 6-figure settlement. They settled. All they wanted was their position back. But a part of their settlement agreement was they were going to get paid 6 figures each. This outcome underscores the power of nonprofit members to challenge the leadership decisions that they believe are undermining the organization's missions and governing principles. Okay? So here's our biggest issue. Our biggest issue is that our members don't understand the law. So we're having meetings now to bring them up on the law so that the members will understand just how big of a problem our organization has been having because of the members' lack of knowledge pertaining to the laws of the organization and their lack of knowledge pertaining to the laws of the land and their lack of knowledge pertaining to the procedures in the organization. That's how we got here. So right now, people all over the place are looking at the organization. Y'all know people making videos left and right about the organization. And they're saying the only way this organization could have done and gotten away with all of this is if those members did absolutely nothing about it. I'm saying that it was not because the members did nothing about it. I'm saying in 2025 that the vast majority of the membership within our organization is made up from members that were born and raised in here. It didn't come from a group of people who came in. There was not an influx of people joining the organization. So since the organization is made up of people that were born and raised in here, as a baby growing up into a toddler, into a child, into an adolescent, into a teenager, a young adult, and adulthood, you're not going to consider going against the leaders of the organization and check to see if they're doing things right. Because as a child, you looked around and every adult in here was fine with what's going on. So apparently in your mind, everything is hunky-dory. Everything is fine. It's not that you don't know. The problem is that we didn't know what we didn't know. Well, now that people are finding out, now we have members left and right taking a back seat and now looking into some of these things so that we can get this whole mess cleaned up. Because our members, one thing's for sure and two things for certain. I remember Trues used to say, he still says, what don't come out in the wash is going to come out in the rinse. Okay? Our members don't like being called stupid, and they don't appreciate being made fools of. So now you got a lot of people taking a seat back. Even though they may not be voicing their concerns or their issues, they're taking a seat back and they're looking and they're watching. And over this past weekend, the complication season has come to a close. Complication, not convocation. And it certainly is not holy, but it's come to a close. So now we can discuss, put this information out without people being distracted by noise. And this is why the slogan went out, push past the noise, because they want you to think that we're making noise over here. But the noise that's being made is on the other side to distract you, distract. So you don't see the truth of what's going on, so that you don't understand what's taking place behind closed doors. So all these different things taking place was to distract you. And besides that, it got you to look past the very things that's happening to our children for all these years. People happening to deal with trauma and abuse. Well, now they're being forced to look at it because we're bringing all these things forward. So with that said, everything we said tonight was only applied to the chairman of the board, who is the General Assembly Secretary. And on this coming Saturday, we're going to talk about the next position and the next office, which will be the General Counsel. And we're going to discuss what the law says the responsibilities are, and what the law says that the consequences are for not keeping those responsibilities. Later on, we're going to get to the place where every member in here, hopefully, will understand all the intricate details about the seriousness of the things that have transpired by our leaders in this organization. So here's my last statement before we open the floor for questions. It does not matter who or how much a member might like anybody in these positions. When these things come forward, those who regulate these nonprofit organizations, they're not going to ask you, do you want me to do something to them? Once it is understood that laws have been broken, then the consequences of those actions will go into play. So this is necessary for people to understand, so that when things begin taking place, you're not caught off guard, you're not surprised, and you will be ahead of the game. With all that said, I now digress, and we'll open up the floor for any questions from anybody before we close out. If everybody's good.
I heard a voice, I thought.
And you can type your questions in, or you can just raise your hand and we'll have you unmute. What time is the meeting on Saturday? The next two meetings will be at 6 o'clock. So Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern, and then the following Saturday at 6 p.m. Eastern. So the next two meetings will be at 6 p.m. and both of them will be on Saturday. Yes, sir. Thank you for confirming that.
Yeah, no mask.
No mask required. I hope you all enjoy the fact that we're meeting like this. Everybody from the comfort of your own homes, not having to spend no money in gas, hotel fees, restaurants, or worse yet, going out to the organization and paying $20 for one person to eat. I hope that you all enjoyed this setting, being able to come together. For those of you who are still out and about, you might be on your phones in the car. Again, I just hope that not only are you comfortable meeting like this, but you're familiarizing yourselves with all of the various options that's on these platforms. So that said, we're going to continue with both of these platforms in the event that some of you prefer one or the other.
There's questions coming up on Zoom.
Can we get our money back? What's going to happen to current members and officers? Is it possible to clean up a cult? It is possible to clean up a cult. And for those of you who are not aware, that's exactly what it is that we're doing. By the time that we get done, it will not be a cult any longer. It will be cleaned up from the bottom up. For the most part, things throughout the entire organization will either be changed or done away with entirely. For those of you asking about getting money back, the good news there is that the money that has been contributed over time has gained interest. And those funds are available still for the organization. And the organization's number one obligation is supposed to be to serve a function as a nonprofit organization. So the function that they were supposed to serve was supposed to be some sort of need in the community. So since it's supposed to have been that from the jump, and they never served the need in the community from an organizational wide effort, nothing that was done for the people to take advantage of, now everything in the organization should be set forth to be used for that purpose. In regards to anything that was spent, misused, or embezzled, well, that's what can be and will be, in most cases, sought by the authorities. And once they make that decision, then those individuals will have to reimburse the organization, and they will determine that amount. So there are some individuals that have personal issues that they've gone through and dealt with. So I will be making you all aware of a few things down the line for certain groups of individuals. Okay. There's a group, 1, 2, we may have 4 or 5 groups of certain individuals. As long as these certain things happen to you, you are going to be in a group, in a separate file, and your separate file will be dealt with completely separately. And the very first thing, well, I don't want to give that information. So there's some things I can't say because we know that they're going to go back and try to do certain things. So some things I hold off on so that they have no idea what to do about the information I was about to share. But what other questions did you see? The bishop wants people to call him Addie, and we're suing him for unpaid child support. Unpaid child support. Sister Lois, absolutely, absolutely. You are welcome.
Did you see what's going to happen to the current members and officers?
Oh, the current members and officers. Nothing's going to happen to them. The current officers on a local level, nothing's going to happen to them immediately. But meetings will be had. State meetings will be had first, and then local meetings will be held second. The state meetings will be had so that all of the state officers can be dealt with. So in the event that there are state officers that have been conspiring with the leaders to do certain things, then they'll be held accountable as well by being removed. No, it's not going to be a long road. Y'all will be surprised at how easy this is. Should I tell them? No, my history.
It's up to you.
Let me just say this. There's a lot that I've done in this field without having a license. There's a lot I don't know, a whole lot, because every state, their laws differ. But there's 2 states that I've done quite a bit in. There's 1 state that I've done a whole lot in. Now, I say all that to say this. I actually have a history, and my history is pretty impressive with a lot of people with certain things. So I said that to say this process does not take a lot of time. Once it is discovered that individuals have done these things, they've done it. So now the powers that be can go ahead and make a ruling. That settles and resolves everything. The longest amount of time, most of the time, is gathering information. Most of the time. But we don't need to gather any information because we have so much. But I said before that if I wanted to, we could have taken this, we would have won this 4 years ago. We would have won hands down. But after that, so many of you guys came forward with information that we didn't know anything about. And all that did is just dump more on this dump truck of evidence that we already had. More importantly, you only have to prove one thing. So even if we just showed forgery or altering of documents or willful neglect, just one thing. But these people have done literally, no exaggeration, they've done thousands of these things. They made it so easy for us in the organization to bring evidence forward. This is a done data, as we used to say back in where I'm from. It's a done data. So it's not going to take a whole lot of time. Once the evidence has been presented, that's a wrap. And the powers that be, when they make a ruling on it, that's a wrap. But I won't say what I can say, I will say
a lot
this.
of people are saying don't say everything.
Yeah. But I will say this. There will be a few things that take some time, but the members won't have to worry about none of that. They won't have to worry about none of that. Okay. So the members are going to be fine. And so I'll say this last thing. While all of the other stuff is getting done, the organization will at the same time simultaneously be getting cleaned up, and things will be changing. So as we change, notifications will be going out. People will know ahead of time as we change, right? So every single thing that changes, the members will know about that thing, and then you will know about the change to that thing to make it better for the entire organization, and it will benefit every member of the organization. So this is what I was saying before, that if the members understood what's going on, they would have been jumping on this bandwagon.
Back yonder.
Oh my gosh. If they knew that they're the ones holding up progress to help themselves. This is going to help the members. So with all of that in mind, this is not going to be a long process. And no matter what, I'm going to say this, no matter what they plan, no matter what they plot, no matter what they do, they will not be able to stop what is coming. So they're giving a bunch of announcements. Oh, yo, we're going to do this. We're going to do that. We're going to do this, this, and the other, and blah, blah, blah. That's just to keep y'all distracted. It's to excite you and make you think, yay, yay, we love you. We want you to stay. All of that is just, it's a song and a dance. So do we need to take them to court? No. Jola Locks, no, we don't. That will take care of itself. And so I'm not explaining this part because I don't want to give any heads up to anything. But that part will take care of itself. And there's a reason why we want to avoid that right now. Okay, so with that in mind, there's other things that's going to be done that can initiate other things. So you all are going to be hearing about things coming up as we go forward in the next few weeks, maybe the next 2 or 3 months or so. Y'all going to be hearing about more if they don't get it together and start changing and coming forward and doing what we need to do inside the organization. If they continue being negligent and ignoring what it is that the body of the organization is the members. If they continue ignoring, then it's going to be so bad for them. Mm-hmm. We've been saying this whole time to just come forward so that we can all fix this ourselves. Inside the organization. But they're insistent on claiming that we don't know what we're doing. Nothing's going to happen. We're lying. We're lying on the organization. We're trying to tear down the organization. We're hating on people. They know that those are lies, but they need the members to not stand with us. They need the members to think that hurrah, hurrah for them and believe that this is God's servant and these are God's men while they're defrauding the whole time the organization. So just let everybody know it's now time for the members to come together because the people can fix this. That's what's happening. The first example that I gave, remember I talked about that Baptist church? Who was it that fixed that issue?
The members.
The members. Who was it that the law and the agencies of the land backed up and supported?
The members.
The members. Anytime people are committing crime, you don't have to get in line behind them. And the laws of the land, they will see to it that you do not stay behind them. Okay. Members don't know the power. Right. They don't know the power that they have.
And if you scroll back, there were like 2 or 3 questions in a short paragraph.
You know who?
Somewhere after, right after they said something about calling him Addie.
Okay. So do you think the UHOP, that one?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think the House of Prayer has an entirely different organization behind the members' back, and all of this is simply a facade? Absolutely, I do.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely, 100%, 100%. And the reason why I believe that is because we know that they're committing fraud all over the place. And if you're already committing fraud, well, it's nothing to continue to commit more fraud, right? So besides the fraud that they're committing with us by giving us these books, these are fake books. These books are fake. They're fake. But these are the books that the members can use to fix what they've done to manipulate the members of the organization. Even though these are fake books, even though they're fraudulent, even though they're illegal, we can still use them to show that this is what we thought we were under. But there's certain information. I mean, I can walk in there with nothing but this book right here, and I can build my case, I can prove my case, and I will walk out with them backing up my case. And this book right here, I can build my case and I can wear this case out. Why? Because they made the mistake of calling one of our publications Truth and Facts. This book by itself shows any agency of law or regulatory agency that they have absolutely zero credibility. Once I establish that there is no credibility by the leadership, the fact that they made this publication and called it Truth and Facts, while they're knowingly and intentionally deceiving, manipulating, and defrauding while lying to everybody in the organization, it shows their willingness to continue to deceive and manipulate. This booklet is full of false truths.
Mm-hmm.
It's full of lies. It's
truth and lies.
Right.
Instead of truth and facts.
Untruth and lies. Instead of truth and facts, it's full of lies and manipulations. That's what it should be called. Lies and manipulations. So at any rate, yes, there is an organization behind it, but we get to use all that we know, what's been given to the members, what we've been allowed to use. Right. This is not about, I'm sorry.
Yes, sir.
This has not been about saving souls. This has been a show to make the members think that they've been doing what's necessary to save souls. But it was really used for them to get the members to give all this money so that they can furnish their lifestyles with. Okay. Why not point people back to the God within and break the chains of the cult entirely. That's exactly what we're doing.
Mhm.
Exactly what we're doing. We're all this time and on the channel, we've been directing people's attention to the word as well as to the law. This is why people, when they talk about what we're doing, they say we have the word in one hand, we got the law in the other hand. That's why we don't worry about anything that they're saying. Okay. With that in mind, believe that they're going to be doing some things to try to dissuade you all from coming to the meeting. So they know it's going to be 6 o'clock on Saturday, this week and next week. So be on the lookout for the chairmen and the pastors. These are the ones they're looking to intimidate you all by. They use the chairmen and the pastors, and in some cases, they will use president of presidents or your club president to intimidate you, to try to do what they want you to do. So with that said, they're going to, I'm telling y'all, they're going to try to come up with something to get your attention for this Saturday at 6 o'clock and next Saturday at 6 o'clock. So be on the lookout for it. Spread the word and let everybody know. The point of the matter is this: you no longer have to listen to a thing they say. They don't have any authority over you, including the CEO. He has no, the moment he committed a crime, the moment he violated the laws of the organization, the moment he violated the laws of the land, he was done. No one else has to listen to or take any orders from the CEO, from the General Counsel, from the General Assembly Secretary, not even a pastor, nobody, no chairman, no district chairman. You don't have to listen to a thing that they say, and there's nothing whatsoever that they can do to you. Nothing. So, in fact, now that I said that, let me say this. I was told, and I'm going to put this on a video. I was told that they took people to council and they put people's names in the microphone. I want y'all to know that that's nothing but intimidation. Mm-hmm. That's a fear tactic that they're using to make you all scared of them. It was intimidation. So they put you all, people names on the microphone so that everybody else is like, ooh, I hope they don't call me. Tell them to call the Lewises. Put our names in the microphone. Call us to a general council meeting. Tell them to bring us in there. I was told that they fined more than 20 people $100 because of some type of online activity involving something about Facebook or a group or where people are doing things to help other people. How in the world are you going to fine people for helping people? And how are you going to fine anybody and hold somebody accountable for your rules when it's all out in the open that you breaking all the rules? How are you running from me and Sister Lewis all around the country, hiding, and then tell the council to enforce any rule on anybody, but y'all ducking and dodging, hiding from us and anybody else, trying to hold them accountable for the rules that they've broken, when they're holding people accountable for things that are not even rules. There's no rule. There's no law that says that you can't go online and do what you're doing. So all that said, people, listen, don't be intimidated by them. Don't worry about the council or the CEO. All this stuff is coming to a close. The walls are coming in. The lights are dimming on them, and they know this. So I want to take the time to thank everybody for your time tonight. It's been 2.5 hours now going on. One question. Oh, I'm sorry. Matter of fact, whoever would like to stay, we're going to go ahead and answer the rest of these questions. But officially at this time, I'm going to go ahead and call the meeting over because we've covered what we wanted to cover. But for those of you who would like to stay and listen to us answer the rest of the questions, then by all means, go ahead and stay. We're doing this and we're staying as long as you guys ask questions because the members of the House of Prayer have never had an opportunity to ask questions to anybody. You've never had an opportunity to have a platform to where your voices can be heard so that your concerns can be shared. It's never, ever happened. So this is why we're doing this now. So with that in mind, let me go to the next question. Why not start your own ministry to do things the way you see fit? Because I'm not authorized to start a ministry. All ministries were authorized by our Father in heaven. So as a result of God being the one to call people or give them a ministry, then they would go forth. But Jesus, when he sent the disciples out, he did not send them to start a ministry. They were carrying out his ministry.
Let's add to that once you finish.
Mm-hmm. They were carrying out his ministry. And therefore, there's a lot of people that's kind of all over the place on this subject because everybody does not have the same knowledge, which is 100% okay. I'm not condemning people by saying what I'm saying. I'm not starting up a church because there's only one church, and that's the church of our Lord and Savior. And anybody who's a believer in him and practicing the things that he taught, they're a part of that church. So a building is not a church. With that in mind, I'm not attacking other people either. When the disciple came to Jesus and said, we saw one teaching that you did not sin, and we went to forbid him, Jesus said, forbid him not, for he that's not against us is for us. So it doesn't matter what you don't know. If you're out there doing whatever you know to try to turn people towards the Lord, he accepts that. Just because you don't know what you're doing or how you're doing it, he's not going to hold that against you because you're doing what you know or what you intend to help bring others to him, which means the disciples should be applauding your effort and anybody else should be applauding that effort because you're trying to lead people to him. And there was a man by the name of Apollos who was out there doing that, except he didn't know about Jesus, and they perfected his ministry, if you want to call it that. But that's why. Sister Lois?
Yeah, and I just wanted to say that it's about people's souls. Like, if you knew somebody was in a fire, is it appropriate just to leave them there because you got out? That's all.
Right. And by the fire, she's talking about the organization. If the fire is inflaming a building, do we run out and save ourselves and leave everybody behind? Or since we saw the fire, do we now go and run to try to save as many as we can? And that's the point that she's making. With that in mind, here in this organization, there's a work to be done. As a matter of fact, let's use Jesus as an example. Why didn't Jesus just leave the temple and go and start his own ministry? Right? He didn't. He kept going back to the temple. Mm-hmm. And he kept exposing the leaders of the temple. He kept talking about what they're doing wrong. Jesus called them hypocrites, blind guides, fools. When the disciples went out, they started doing the same thing. And he sent them to go to all the world, which is why they never built a building. They went out and taught, and as people believe, they would leave them behind and they continue going out and teaching other people. Our desire, which is why the channel is, here, Lord led us to do this, because this goes out to the world. It's a great injustice, in my opinion, to people today, this day and time, with all of this technology, to sit inside of a building and talk to 40 people day in, day out, week in, week out, month in, years, 40 people, when there's over 8 billion people on the planet. And the ones that learn, leave them, and you keep going forward. That's what Jesus started. That's why he said, he that cometh after me, the works that I do, shall he do and works greater than these, because Jesus had a constricted amount of people. But he sent the disciples out to the world. So they didn't do better work. It wasn't more powerful. It's just greater work because the numbers of people were greater. But that's a very, I thank you for that question. Several others.
Yeah, that was a great question.
Yeah, absolutely. I truly feel that many who were and are now accessing these videos, the brainwashing is being broken. Oh, that was you. Okay, let me go down. And yes, it is. Many people no longer believing these things, especially now that other influencers are telling people the same thing. Their voices are being heard. I think Corey, the young man who said, I don't have a lot of information to share, but I want to put this up. I think now those views are are quickly approaching 1 million views if they haven't hit 1 million yet. And others as well jumping in. Why not start your own ministry? Where does that fine money go? The money from fines is just more money goes into the account that they're going to use for their own purposes. The leadership in the House of Prayers always use the money for whatever they see fit. And that's why in Washington, D.C. of this year, convocation there, the leader said that we never had a group of people to decide nothing. There's always only been one. What he's doing is defending the manipulation to the organization. He's defending the actions that are criminal and illegal by telling y'all, we don't need no board. Well, according to the laws of the land and the federal and state regulations, you do. This is not, that lie is for the members of the organization. As long as you believe that this is God's servant sent here by Jesus, that too is a lie. How many of y'all ever seen any of the leaders in the House of Prayer sent by Jesus or God? Not one of us. They went through an election and the determinations of that election put them in a seat. How does that equate God sent you or Jesus sent you? So I'm saying these things because I believed it too. We weren't stupid. We were just fooled. We were tricked.
Someone said in the earlier comment, spellbound. They just said it was a spell.
Oh yeah, there's a whole lot of witchcraft being used in here, just like other places around the world. I'm still mad about the fact the tithes. Scripture clearly states that tithes pay for food, yet we get charged the price of a past due light bill. Yes, but here's the thing. Tithing is over.
It's over.
You don't have to pay tithes. In fact, no one has ever paid tithes since the temple was destroyed. I thought I paid tithes, but none of us have ever paid tithes. None of us, ever, no matter where you put it. Because once the temple was destroyed, our Father, he never received tithes no more from anyone. So the money that you were putting in any place was not called tithes, not by him. It was called tithes by the people that took it, because they knew that they could use that word to convince you to give it. And this is how people use the scripture to manipulate people to give their money. Besides that, tithing goes to the bishop. That money is his. That's not organization. That's his money. Just waiting for the indictment to come down. Don't tell it yet. Tithes goes to food. Oh yeah, I just answered that. Tithes go to the bishop. That's his money, which is why the council carries this out in convocation. They always push tithes, right? Tithes going up. That's done to also intimidate and embarrass and humiliate people. Because then if it's not a bigger amount this year, going down. And that pastor and secretary sitting up there embarrassed, and the congregation's embarrassed. All of this is wrong. If they had all the extra security like at the last General Assembly, how will things be addressed for them to deal with? Very good question. You all might be surprised that this might not go to the General Assembly. The things that's being taken care of right now, the initiatives that's being carried out, is to circumvent and get around the General Assembly. In fact, I would be greatly surprised if this is not resolved before May 30th weekend. I would be completely surprised. This is the third Memorial Day weekend past that we've been trying to bring these things to light. It's been 3 years. And I'm going to say this too. According to the law of the land, you only need a certain amount of time to present something. Well, we have 3 years worth of stuff being done even after we try to bring it forward, meaning that the leaders have knowingly and intentionally and willingly been covering up and continuing to push forward. So when I said in March that our leader is technically suspended, well, the laws of the land and all of the other leaders, the General Counsel and the General Assembly Secretary, the law of the land is going to say, no, they weren't technically suspended. They were suspended. And they will then hold them accountable for every single thing they did after notification was brought to them that you have violations that you need to answer to. I'm telling you all, just because nothing has happened yet does not mean it's not going to happen. So this is where Romans 8:28 comes in. All things work together for the good of those who love the Lord and are called
I'm sorry, I was reading.
I just lost my train of thought.
I'm sorry.
No, I was thinking about, yeah. Anyway, my point is that just because nothing has happened yet doesn't mean it won't happen. I was trying to remember that train of thought while going over the scripture. But my point, we're well beyond what we need for all of this stuff to be over. Just one thing? Yes, only one thing is needed. Once you show that they violated one law, that's all. Just one, that is all. And I meant that. I was serious when I said we have thousands. I'm not going to, of course, try to list the thousands. I'm not going to list the hundreds. I might identify maybe 25. And these are things that you can't dispute. You can't deny it. So I'm just coming forward with things that we don't have to talk about all the other stuff. The only thing that needs to be talked about are just the things that they're going to be found guilty in, and that's it. The other laws, all that means is just more penalties and consequences. But I mean, let's face it. If an individual is getting the maximum amount of punishment or penalty, then what more is necessary? Mr. Bernie Madoff, at 37 years, the man was already, I think he was 73. They know he's not going to live to see 37 more years. So all the other charges, that's not necessary. How many times have we seen racketeering charges where people literally getting 140, 160 years? It goes on the book. So Only one is necessary. The UHOP currently playbook for worship and their approach to spirituality seems outdated. Yes, I can't believe this movement didn't start a long time ago. Absolutely. Because all it took was people to come together to just stand up and just do something. But a lot of people got aggravated, and I understand. Look, I'm done. People wanted to do all kinds of things, and people was losing their minds. Standing in here or trying to do one thing for the house of prayer, people was losing their minds. So they walked away and just left. I get it. I completely understand. No, don't tell them nothing.
You're going to come across a lot of that.
Right. Okay. Extremely grateful for y'all. Oh, we're grateful for you all. We can't do this by ourselves. Just me and my wife. We can't possibly fix this mess alone. It was necessary to make an appeal to the members of the organization so that y'all would see what's going on, so that y'all could join in with us, so that we can benefit the organization as a whole. And the whole time I keep saying, God knew what he was doing. And he knew that he was presenting something to move on you all's heart so that y'all can come in and be a part of what it is that we're doing. So this is him moving on you all to assist with what it is that all we did was start a YouTube channel December 31st. We had no idea. We were sitting there excited because we saw 20 views, 20. Oh, shoot. Oh, 21. And it might hit 50 before the day is out. And another young man was talking to us on the phone, and he was excited. Man, y'all, I don't know. You might get 100.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. It's all him. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth. And that's right. It's so much truth to what we're doing. And it hurts people to hear that this has been going on the whole time. And we're saying, yes. But here we are. And now we're looking to see what happens in the next chapter. Question, from a legal standpoint, are you worried about being tied up in the courts for a while, considering the amount of money the House of Prayer has to prolong the legal battle? No. And that's, well, what you're asking is one of the reasons I'm not going into the court, because that's one reason that we want to avoid it. We know that they're going to try to tie this up. This is why they've been so bold. Let them take us to court. Then we'll see what happens. Well, we know. And if we know that's what you're going to do, I'm not going to play right into your hand. Now, we got Joker, deuce, ace. I mean, for those of you who understand, we used to play poker for fun in one of the congregations. In fact, some of the young men from the Navy, they're on here tonight. They first came in, we was in San Diego, California. And after service, sometimes we'd be there till 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and it became a fellowship. We're having Bible study, playing Uno, and we would play sometimes poker for fun. And it blew up. People loved it and the camaraderie. And people was coming in. One time we ordered pizza, and we had to hurry and put the cards up. Because we didn't want the pizza guy, seeing us around the table playing cards at quote unquote the church. He thinking we in there gambling. But it built up the fellowship and the camaraderie and the love there. So my point in saying that was, if you're holding the high cards in your hand, you don't want to show your hand. You want to make sure you use them. You play them at a certain part of the game. So there's things we don't want to do so that we're not setting ourselves up for failure. Do we need to take them to court? No, we don't need to. My assumption is that court would be necessary. In some instances, in fact, some things will be put before certain people. And those certain people will make a decision and a ruling like a judge. But those things, again, is going to be a lot faster to go the routes that we're going, because there can be no, it's not going to be a tennis match. You don't have to worry about court coming. Okay, right? The members don't know the power they have. Exactly. If the members knew the power that they had, this whole thing would never have been going on. LA girl, I would say leave, but I know JoJo trying to do something right, but the members you included. Yes, we're trying to get something done, and I want to make sure that we answer all of your questions, and it would be good for all of you to understand all of the answers to the various questions. We know that some of you are parents. We know that some of you have children. We know that you have other obligations, so I'm not going to tie up too much more of your time. And trying to learn to be better, LOL, could be meaner. This has been a lot of prayer for all of us, a lot of prayer. And the Lord knows what he's doing, because individuals were trying to turn this into something violent. Many people, the wicked one, he wants to divide and he wants to turn this into something else. We don't want that. That's not what we ever desired. And we don't have to have that. So we're seeing the Lord guide us through all of this turmoil, and he's bringing it together so that we can all arrive at a peaceful state and get us across the finish line without any issues at all. And by the time this is done, the organization will come together, including all of the security. I said before, the security's job is to do their job. A lot of security don't get involved in the politics. They're just there doing their job. And if you got a guy dressed up in orange, well, they're going to take care of that guy. And if the guy ends up in green, they're going to take care of that guy. Or if some other guy comes and he gets removed and that guy is wearing pumpernickel, well, they're going to take care of that guy, because their job is just to be security. So we want to make sure that we're not coming at one another, because that does not serve our purpose. That serves their purpose. That's poker. She knows poker. If he's suspended, how is he the bishop? Oh, he's the bishop still, only because he has not removed himself.
Because he doesn't follow the rules of the organization. Yeah.
Right. The bishop has not removed himself. And then by not removing himself, he's showing everybody, I don't care about no rules in no organization. What y'all think this is? Them rules ain't for me. I am the rule. I make the law. This is what they believe. And we're going to show them, no, you don't. And no, you're not. And in fact, get yourself ready. You're going to be taking measurements after a while. Unfortunately, a lot of people are going to be getting measured after a while. That's not the hope. That's not what we want. But individuals paying a hefty price for the things they've been doing. And how long have they been doing it? For decades. I mean, we're going back for literally over 50. I say over 50 just being modest. But I'm talking about literally from the beginning. Not first start beginning, but from the early years. So this has been a whole lot coming. And whenever we see in the scripture God bring judgment, he brings harsh judgment because he's been so merciful and people didn't take advantage of his grace and mercy. So now he's got to make an example. So that said, glad you could join us, LA girl. Please keep comments tastefully. Otherwise, feel free to join in. We're glad you could join. McCullough had us in service all night. Um, he said, keep going, Brother Lewis. We can do all night. And the children can sleep in school tomorrow. And some of our kids used to sleep on the pews in the house of prayer during services.
Our kids have.
Yeah, right. King said we're in 8 o'clock prayer. Pray for the chains to be broken. Absolutely. Absolutely. King said, I got the last word. Oh, yeah. And absolutely, we're seeing that the leaders of the house of prayer does not have the last word. Again, these are intimidation tactics. It's fear tactics. That's all it is. And so we're coming to a close. Brother and Sister Lois doing great work. Appreciate you both. We appreciate all of you all. And we thank God. To God be all the glory. All the glory. He knew what he was doing from day one. But he knew also that these things had to happen, just like Israel. They had to be in slavery for 400 years. It had to happen. He prophesied to Abraham and said it was going to happen. So all those things must take place since he said it. And there was a purpose in it. Yeah, the new bishop preaching a new belief because he's the opposite of what was taught in the United House of Prayer Sunday School from when I was there. Right. He's all over the place. In fact, he's not really teaching a new belief. He's using the name Jesus and God. And then he'll even use Jehovah to try to give the impression to the members of the organization that I'm trying to steer y'all in his direction. Come on now, stay with me. That's what he's trying to do. The problem is, you all can see from the time that he came in up until now, he's flip-flopped. He's been all over the place. If he was truly trying to if he was truly trying to take, if he was truly trying to take the organization in another direction, then he would have been doing that from the jump. He would have started by making changes. He would have put a stop to a bunch of stuff. And he certainly wouldn't be putting certain men in positions of authority who's living all kinds of whatever. So we know that he doesn't believe in this stuff. Thank you. We know he don't believe in this stuff, the things that he's saying. He's only using it. And that's why he said that he himself is the Lord. He said that he represents the second coming of Christ. He went as far as to say, which is, oh my gosh, he was separated from Mary's womb. That is one of the most, anyway. That's why he don't believe none of that stuff. He's just making it up. And we have to see through those things so that the people don't believe, oh, change is here. Yay. No. Change is getting rid of all of them. That's change. And that's the best thing for the organization. The men who should enforce the suspension are cowards and in on the scam. Yes, absolutely, they're in on it. And yes, they're afraid. They're afraid because they also know that their hand was in on a lot of these things, and the things that's coming down the pipe, they're going to be right there too. They're going to be caught up with them, paying the price. Preaching. I don't think the members know he's suspended. Well, it's not necessary for the people to know he's suspended. The only thing that's not, it's like, okay, if somebody go to court right now, the public don't have to know that a politician has done wrong. As long as the ones in the court making the decision, as long as they know that he did wrong, that's all that's necessary. And if he knew because somebody brought attention to his wrong and they notified him, then it's going to be worse for them in the court. Because not only did you do wrong, but somebody brought it to your attention that you did wrong and you still didn't fix it. You didn't even try to fix it. It's going to be worse. So the people don't have to know that he's suspended as long as he knows. And I made sure that he knew, and I made sure that the council knew, and the General Assembly Secretary. And so I've been saying that all of them are suspended. But look at what they're doing, how they're parading around the organization. They're acting like nothing ever happened and sitting up there putting people's name in the microphone while people listen to them. That goes to show you the control that they have through manipulating, through intimidating, and through fear mongering. So the people need to just stop listening to them, stop being afraid of them. Nothing going to happen. And even I would say, everybody who's attending services, you're helping the leader, because all these videos gives the impression to the people of the world and other members, it gives the impression that the people are still 100% behind him. Especially when he said, if you're going to stay in this house of prayer, you're going to follow Addie Cunningham. If not, there's the door. Well, you just gave him the feeling of a dictator by not speaking out and by still standing there and listening to him talk. You just empowered him and made him feel that much more powerful. So you wonder why he's yelling during these speeches. It's because he feels the energy from the people. And every time the people clap and yell and they applaud to what he says, you're empowering him and you're coming into agreement with an antichrist. Ooh, I didn't. Anyway, the people need to see everything as either right or wrong. If it's not right, it is wrong. And we need to make up our minds. I will not be an accessory and an accomplice in doing wrong. I'm not going to help you do wrong. I'm not going to cover up your wrong. I'm going to hold you accountable. The same way Paul, for those of you who believe this is God's servant, Paul went and withstood Peter to his face. The same way Jesus withstood the leaders to theirs. Even John withstood the king to his. The same way Nathan withstood David when David messed up with Uriah's wife. Men of God don't have no reason to fear, neither does truth. And if you have God, you don't have no reason to fear. Not if God's on your side. And you have God on your side. Everything they're doing is in defiance of God. And they're making mockery of his son. And that's the scary part. So that said, Brother Lewis, you got to stop. You're spilling all the cookies. That's what's so crazy about the whole thing. That's what's so crazy about the whole thing. Didn't we used to say one Lord, one faith, one baptism? Right. What happened to that? And now the leader's saying we're everything. We're Baptist, Presbyterian, Muslim, Methodist, Seventh-day Adventist, Catholic, Protestant. We're everything. No, we're not. And this just goes to show. In fact, somebody made a clip and they played him saying that. And they talked about how crazy this sounded. This was a minister out in the somewhere, I can't remember, but he made a larger clip. He talked about how much of a joke that was. And for the leader of the organization to be saying that. I'm telling y'all, it's all, the House of Prayer is blowing up on the internet. Exactly, Brother Lewis. It starts with change, right? And change is definitely coming. I know Mr. Cunningham. I know that he's sweating. Yes, he
Sweating.
Oh boy, not enough handkerchiefs. Him, all of them, and this is why the council's digging in. They up there defending him left and right, telling the people do this left and right, do that left and right, because they know if he goes down, they're going down. So the governing body knows he is suspended and does nothing about it. Exactly. The governing body is aware, and they've done nothing so far. He doesn't have to step down. He can be voted out. That's the law in the nonprofit world, correct? Absolutely. He can be voted out. But there's something, y'all gonna be surprised. They gave us a gift that the entire organization is not aware of, that I have yet to share. So, to answer that last question, you're going to be surprised. This here, I doubt, is going to go to May. Now, just make sure you come to the next 2 meetings. Y'all going to be delighted. And in fact, can you make a note for me to remind me of that statement he just made? Here.
You got it.
Yeah. Come back to William A.
Well, you'll have to write it because everything that's during the live won't stay on.
No, I just want to make sure I refer to his name and then the
Gotcha.
actual subject. Is a vote needed? Okay, that way I make sure I cover this. Joshua Edwards, the Lord is the bishop, according to the members, not G. She's on point, and she's making a point that the members keep on making stuff up to defend what's going on in the house of prayer. And we know that what she just said is actually true. This is said all the time, that the spirit is who Addie is and not the man. And when the long get ready to tear up, the Lord get ready to tear up, he's going to be begging to let him at him. And when the long get ready to tear up, he go begging to let him at him. Hey, King, you want to let me know again what you just said there?
He was referring to something that the NNC had just said.
Okay.
I'm sorry for my speech, but I have an AirPod in this, so it's 3 voices.
Yeah, it's fine. It sounds like he's saying, and when the Lord get ready to tear up, he is going to be begging to let him at him. Josh says, that's right. It's just his theology is all over and multi-religious, denominational, and straight up confusion. Absolutely. Mm-hmm. It's nonsense. Okay, it was Lord. And yes, facts. And we know who the author of confusion is. Yes, certainly not our Father in heaven. If he don't step down or the board doesn't vote him out, it's up to us to leave or stay, correct? Then what's the problem? No. Stay. Number one, we know he's not going to step down. Stepping down is not a problem. I'm only sharing that he's not stepping down so that the people will understand why he is a technically suspended bishop. In other words, because he's still in the seat, he's a technically suspended bishop. He's supposed to be suspended. It's much like a president, right? You can have a sitting president that has also been impeached. They don't have to leave the office, but they've already been impeached, right? So the hope is that after impeachment, a president will decide to leave. But that's the case there. We got we got to hold the line, just like Bailey claimed.
Mhm.
Oh, the other one, as far as leave or stay. Yeah, don't decide to take your name off. I'm not participating in services. I'm not cooperating with anything. I don't abide by, I don't follow any instructions coming from the leaders. And the more people ignore everything that the leaders say, and the more people ignore what they do, then what you're saying is, I'm standing on principle. I'm against what they're doing wrong. None of this is right. And we need to stop all of this nonsense. That's why I say, just stand still, because you're showing everyone, including the powers that be later on, I stopped until they fix that mess. And that's what's going on. So to answer your question, yeah, just stand still. Don't do anything. Keep watching the videos. Stay tuned. And we're going to be giving you information as we get things done. And the things that we're going to be getting done, it should not be taking a whole lot of time. I cannot give a roundabout because right now there's things going on in the country, including a shutdown. So we're going through some issues on a federal level, which is impacting issues on a statewide level, which is impacting issues on a city level and local level. So since this has to be done in one of those venues, it's hurting a little bit because we can't really push this matter through. So this is why I said it might take up to 3 months, maybe a little bit more. But no matter how long it takes until this is resolved and a decider, right? Remember the president, I'm the decider.
He's the decider.
And a decider somewhere, somebody with authority, they make the decision to penalize, correct, fix. Until that happens, the members, all they got to do is just sit tight, sit back, don't participate, don't contribute, don't attend. Save your money, enjoy your families, enjoy your time, and get online and keep following. We're going to be going over scripture. One more thing is we're going to be meeting. I'm going to put this out in the announcement. We're going to be meeting here on a regular basis, at least once a week, so that the members can have a platform to come to and just talk and help each other through the church hurt that we've been dealing with. Okay. So we're going to decide that. And then by the end of this week, we will have a time set up and we'll announce it and the platform will be open. We already have this. We got Zoom. And we also have a conference call that people can call in from anywhere and just listen in and talk or whatever. So there's several things being set up for the people to get the help and the resources that they need. And when this is all done, then those things will be just simply dropped into place. So David Taylor is saying he's also God's man. So how do we explain the one man theory? This is enough to raise an eyebrow. Exactly. David's not the only one, but all around the world, people saying that they're God's servant. And they're saying the exact same things that this one is saying, precisely. Joshua asked Mr. What believe, hold the line and stay outside. There's a pastor right now looking at a congregation of 10 members, wondering how he's going to pay the church bill. Oh, and this is another good point. We actually have congregations with less than 10 members. There's many congregations right now that's literally, you're looking at 5, 6 members trying to hold together a house of prayer. Having meetings with their congregation, telling them to stay off social media, that's pathetic. Yes, and that too is going on, where again, pastors and chairmen are trying to tell people to not get involved in what we're doing and to just keep away. If the General Assembly knows this information, they are the board of the nonprofit. Why are you not going after them so that things can be changed, or is that your lane? The General Assembly is made up of members throughout the organization. These are the ones who don't know what's going on. So in this meeting, we're now making everybody aware of what's going on, everybody aware of the laws of the land, everybody aware of your obligations as a delegate to the General Assembly. We're telling you what you're obligated to. that the law of the land will also hold you to in the event that you ever represent the organization as a delegate. So we know that they've never had orientation to teach these things to the members. They've never done it. And the reason why is because they need the people to remain in the dark. They need you all to not understand the law or how procedures are run. And by your not understanding, then they can do things right in front of your faces and you know nothing about it. Right? Tesla gang, your heart's arteries, don't miss it. LOL. If you'll live longer and your heart, kidney, liver will thank you at 90. Okay. The General Assembly Secretary is fully aware. Yes, Mr. Jones. However, it was his responsibility to let the General Assembly members, to make the members aware, which he did not do, of course. And yes, the General Assembly Secretary was aware. The General Counsel was aware. Every pastor was aware. The district chairmen and the state chairmen were aware. And more importantly, the leader was aware. So there's no rock that we left unturned. All of them are aware. And as we close, where I'm from, the food was cooked in the spirit. Gang. Yes, that part. Food can contain covenants. Yes, food can contain covenants and other spiritual things. A lot of times people want to cast a spell on you. They'll cook food for you and put a spell on the food. And people wonder about this, but this is 100% factual and it's done a lot. Not sure, but the spirit stopped at hunger. Mine too, but not. The difference is people look at it as a church and not a nonprofit. So therefore, you don't read the rules and the laws. Exactly right. Many people never read the laws. Now I'm telling them to read so that you can familiarize yourself so that you can understand what it is that this is all about. And many people have been doing it, which is why they are not openly selling the new constitutions. I haven't seen the new constitution yet. But David Taylor can't pull off that orange suit like Cunningham, so he doesn't count. Starting up the first vagrant Church of Nazareth for all outsiders. Oh, gosh. And Brother Lewis, thank you, sir. We thank God. And that appears to be it. We thank you all for all of your time, your attention, and your patience. And we look forward to you all coming back and meeting with us as we get into the next portion of this meeting on this coming Saturday at 6:00 p.m. Eastern Time. With that said, you guys are welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night. I see one last question. Are you concerned that he has the judge from Atlanta congregation who is also over the House of Prayer Secret Service? Am I concerned about it? No. He knows that he is directly impacted by what's coming. Same thing with Miss Mickey Bailey. She knows that she has directly impacted herself also by what's coming. They are officers of the court. For them to personally involve themselves in criminal activity when they should have been advising our leaders to not do these things, they have now implicated themselves in these charges. So they know what's coming. And I believe that that's why he also did something else that he attached his name to that we'll talk about probably on the last meeting. With that in mind, everybody, thank you again for all of their questions, very good questions, and thank you for sticking it out. But you all enjoy the rest of your evening. Have a great night, and Lord willing, we hope you all enjoy your week this week, and we'll see you on this coming Saturday. Did you ever find out about the baptism question I had a few weeks ago? The baptism. Was that question pertaining to something spiritual with the water baptism, the water hose baptism? Dana is reminding me to let everybody know to subscribe and like the
Give a
videos.
thumbs up. Yeah.
Jamal, I'm gonna jot that down so I can cover that in the next meeting. Baptism question. And can you remind me also of what that question was? I think there was two that I remember. One was, is there anything behind the water baptism or the water hose baptism that we should know about? And is there something going on with the baptisms in general that we should know about? But I'll touch on that first thing in the next video. And thank you again for that reminder. Everybody else, again, have a good night. You too, Jamal. Have a good night. Take care.